Back in Jackson Square, guys, there's the oldest chapel in the world. So I'm waiting for the tour. We're going to do French Quarter walking tour, which was free with the bus. It's worth it if you pay for the extra day for another $5. They give you these two tours. The one we just done, the garden tour, and this one is the French Quarter. 45 minutes, really worth it. Can't remember the ticket, but I'll put it underneath. If you pay another $1, you get another day free. What you do is you get these two tours free. One is the garden area, and one is this French Quarter, which is over that way somewhere. My poor old GoPro was overheating because it's about, I bet it's just in 40 today. The sweat was like dripping from me. Anyway, we'll wait for them now and we'll have a walk around and let her do the talking.
By the French. I don't know how much history you know about New Orleans.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was founded in 1718, right here, where you see the gate. The street just beyond that was the river. There was no levee or anything, just the river. And right where you see the gate.
Oh well, so the river was right up to here.
Big mud field where soldiers practiced their maneuvers. So big mud field open to the river with a few little shacks on the bank of the river. That was New Orleans. The British, the French, really didn't care anything about it. They didn't make any money here. They made their money from the Caribbean, mostly from Santo Domingo, where they had large sugarcane plantations. So they put a lot of effort and money into the Caribbean, but not much here. So in 1722, they sent a man over here named Pauger, P-A-U-G-E-R, to map it out. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, good.
To map it out as a little town, and he did that. He made it, in today's measurements, 13 blocks from Canal Street to Esplanade Avenue, and 6 from the river to Dauphine Street. Everything beyond that was just small. And his idea was to set up little straight streets and put up little wooden buildings on the streets. But the people didn't want it. I think they were just poor, and they didn't want a chance losing what little they had. So he didn't push it. When he saw they weren't behind it, he backed off from it. He didn't force them. But he stayed here in the town. And then 2 months later, the whole town was destroyed in a hurricane.
Wow.
So we became a town of 6 by 13 square blocks of little wooden buildings because there was no other building material available. So in other words, it got wood. That belongs to the Cabildo, so the Louisiana State Museum. So you can see on the first floor, they have a gift shop. The second and third floor, that's a museum. They've recreated an apartment as it looked in 1873. You can go in and buy a ticket for $5 in the gift shop. So if you were somewhere that was so
but if you touch me in my heart, we gon' have to scrap. Try Jesus, please don't try me, 'cause I'm fine. I have no problem laying these eggs. So try Jesus, don't try me, 'cause I'm fine.
This is all a National Historic District. So when you walk down the streets, it's about an 8 by 13 square block area now. And even the outside of the buildings, you can't do anything to the outside of the building without the express approval of the Blue Parade Commission. But unlike some historic districts, you can do whatever you like on the inside, just not the outside. And I take in that little Place d'Armes courtyard down there. It was a house, it's a hotel now. It was a house. It dated from the 1700s, which is old for us. And so let me tell you a little bit about what it was like under the Spanish. What it was like to live here under the Spanish. This was a carriageway for small carriage, small wheels. And the brick obviously is not the world's brick because it's not falling apart. It's from Baltimore. We imported it. Then this was a barn right here. And then straight ahead would have been the kitchen, but back in the day that they did open hearth cooking and they were afraid of fire. So it was divorced from the house, physically. And the family would have lived up here. I want to show you this just because it's pretty. But the house was not this big. The house just ended where you see the palm leaves right there. That was the end of the house. When the Valentina Hotel Group bought the building and turned it into a hotel, they bought more buildings. So it's bigger as a hotel than it was as a house. Let's sit down with you now. I'll tell you a little about it. That you're responsible for the upkeep of the exterior of the building. And if you don't do that, the Bucharest Commission has the right to cite you for what's called demolition by neglect. And if you don't fix it, they have a right to take you to court and force you to sell the building.
Wow.
And that happened here. This man just bought it a few months ago. And he's already renovated the top into a private home, but on the first floor, which is where the demolition by neglect mostly occurred, he's putting in an art gallery. He's going to have to get the Bucharest Commission to tell him what to do here, so he doesn't get cited, you know. Over here, see the blue building? It's a little, what we call a crafts bungalow. It was built in the 1920s. It's an example of what I meant when I said up until 1935, people could tear down Spanish buildings and put up other things. They did that. So the Bucharest Commission in 1935 just grandfathered those buildings in. Wouldn't make anybody tear them down. But if anything happened to it, you wouldn't be able to rebuild it like that. You'd have to be more in keeping with everything else. The closer you get to Esplanade Avenue here, about 4 blocks down, the more residential everything becomes. The Plessy School is about 2 blocks down on the left. But here you still have shops on the first floor. And up top, those are owner-occupied residential condominiums. Those 2 buildings there, the little white trim ones, those are tiny. And the ones in the brick building are huge. You see an occasional single-family home down here, but that's not the norm. Most people have condominiums for less than $1 million, like 900,000.
What, just a condominium, 2.5 million?
But they're huge. Some of them are 2-story.
Oh, okay.
They're 2-story.
But still.
And, I mean, you can get a huge house here. I mean, really huge for 1.5 million. And people, I don't know about Malta, but people from the East Coast and West Coast of the United States, they say I'll take 10 because things are so expensive to them.
It is a bit expensive most
Compared
of
to
them.
them, this is not expensive, but it's like market rate for us. Yeah. And you can sometimes lease something if you own it, but it has to be a long-term lease, like 4 or 5 years. You don't have any short-term lease. You don't need those air bump things. Those are not on the line. Here, this green building That's listed in your guidebooks as Madame John's legacy. When it's not being repaired, it's a museum. But the name doesn't have anything to do with the history of the building. It's based on a novel that was written in the 1890s by a man named George Washington Cable. It's just he set the action here. His main character is Madame John, that's where it got its name. But architects date the building from the 1720s, and it was destroyed in the fire of 1788. But the Mine family who owned it built it back immediately, literally on the ashes of the old building, before the Spanish took over and started rebuilding. So it was finished by the time the Spanish started, and they let it stand. So it shows you what much of New Orleans looked like prior to 1788. It's country Caribbean, made of wood, and the family lived on the second and third floor, and the first floor was for storage because of flooding. That's what a lot of the city looked like. The sidewalk, supported by poles to the ground. Before you had electricity, those were used as an extension of a house in the summer because it's so hot. People would eat out there, sleep out there, and this, of course, was protection for shoppers from the elements. And you can contrast it with a balcony over there, a little structure cantilevered from the house a couple of feet. Pick up right there. So this is just the side view of the penthouse.
I don't know, guys. I was a free tour, of course, but she was very old. It's 45 minutes walking to her, but we spent most of the time sitting down. She took us into a private hotel to sit down. I couldn't hear her, it was very, very quiet. This is that big garden, we started on the other side. Might as well have a look at this while we're here. We'll see what it is. We're saying Morty's Messina. I bunged her a few dollars, but Pope John Paul II. Beautiful big park. Let's have a look inside. Oh, that's nice. Air conditioning. Wow, it's really strong incense. Oh, it's different, eh? Get some reservation. Nice. Look like they're doing some. I want to stay in here, guys. It's so cool. I could be converted. Beautiful altar. It's got the same balconies as the houses around at that period, I guess. Look at the stained glass, huh? Fantastic stained glass. It's raging outside, guys. I bet it's 40 degrees. I wish I'd bought a change of t-shirts. I've bought loads of t-shirts. 2 for $20. Let's go outside, guys. That's we'll have a walk around that square. Finish this video off, I think. What it was called, this church? I'll put it down below. Cathedral, not church anyway. This is Jackson Square. He said, oh my God, this sun is just breaking me. It's quite cloudy, but it's a really humid. I think it's more than the September humid in Malta. It's very, very humid and instant sweating. Now I'm gonna ask questions, guys, because on the bus they said something who he is. He looks like French because he's got the Napolitan hat. Union must and shall be preserved. We started this this walking French tour. Well, 30 minutes were 30 minutes we're sitting down, but obviously she's trying to make some money, eh? It's baking hot, so I can imagine she can't walk very much. Anyway, that's what we just looked in, the cathedral. And I forgot what she said the name was, but I'll put it underneath. Hope you enjoyed it. Was the French sitting tour. It was free anyway. The one of the Guardian was excellent. He was a really nice guy and very loud, and she was very quiet. It was, I had to put the camera a bit intrusive, to be close to her to pick her voice up, because she was very soft spoken. Anyway, let's go and get something to eat. I'm starving. I think I'll have some jambalaya